in which he said, because of the importance of state in providing irrigation in these kinds of societies, you tend to have empires, and of course these empires tend to be despotic. His name was Karl Wittfogel, and he put forward a theory of Oriental despotism. The theory of the Oriental despotism was based on the fact that you need an empire in the Orient to maintain and develop agriculture, and of course these empires have got to be fairly large and despotic. Now this has been much criticized, not much basis to it, but nonetheless it underscores the importance of irrigation. As a result, you find that the kind of exhaustibility that is more explicitly associated with commodities like oil is something that has actually a much larger relevance, particularly when you look at products of the tropical and subtropical landmass in the world. Now, when you do that, then you find that historically there has been a very important instrument which has been used for ensuring that there is an exclusion of users, claimants upon this landmass, so that this landmass is utilized for providing to increasing degrees the kinds of products that are required by the metropolitan center located in temperate regions. This exclusion is something which constitutes the basis of a theory of imperialism. That fundamentally in the colonial period, this exclusion was enforced through the system of colonial taxation and through the process of deindustrialization that occurred. Deindustrialization basically implied that the local producers lost their livelihoods because of imports from outside, and their losing their livelihoods basically meant that the demand went down, and consequently more goods from the limited tropical landmass were available for use in the metropolis. And the tax system had played exactly the same role, with the additional fact that the tax system meant that these goods available to the metropolis could be taken away free. Now, that kind of squeeze on or exclusion of users, local users of products, of exhaustible resources, in which I am taking the tropical landmass, subtropical and subtropical landmass as a classic example, is something which was associated, of course, with colonialism. It was, in my view, one of the main functions of colonialism. It is something which receded to the background in the post-colonial period, but again, under the contemporary neoliberal economy, a similar process of exclusion is imposed through what you may call a process of income deflation, that you actually deflate incomes of large numbers of producers here and large numbers of consumers here, because of which a surplus is available. A part of this process of exclusion also consists in the fact that the food security system in these tropical regions is sought to be replaced, is sought to be done away with. As you know, at this moment, one of the main debates that India is engaged in at WTO is that they are actually saying, dismantle your food procurement and distribution system. That your food procurement and distribution system is something which violates the principles of free trade. I began by saying that the principles of free trade themselves are fundamentally theoretically erroneous. Therefore, violation of the principles of free trade is something that should not worry us too much, but on the other hand, that violation is used as an argument for dismantling the food security systems which have been built up with great effort in India in the period after independence. The idea then would be that a larger amount of the tropical landmass would be available not for growing food for the local population, but would be available for growing other kinds of crops which would be required, for instance, in the expanding metropolitan north. Now, these are issues in which the entire discussion in economics occurs without taking into account the specificities or the significance of the specificities of the natural habitats in which production is taking place. So when we talk about economics ignoring the environmental issues, that relates not only to global warming and so on, important of course they are, crucial of course they are, or to exhaustibility of resources per se, but it is also something that ignores the social implication of the non-reproducibility of nature, social implications that, for instance, underlie efforts at imperialism, underlie the project of imperialism. I think once we do that, then we can actually visualize a future for mankind that will be free of these kinds of exclusions, and obviously such a future can only be one which is based on building up a cooperative commonwealth of mankind in which all of us then share the resources of nature which are available to us to a much greater, more equitable degree. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your illuminating speech. I would now request Professor Prabhath Patnaik to kindly release the book titled Higher Education in Emerging India, Problems, Policies and Perspectives, edited by Professor Abdul Salim A, Honorary Director of IUCNE. And I would also request Professor C. Ganesh, Honorable Vice Chancellor, to kindly receive a copy of the same. Thank you very much, sir.